Whoa, hold on. Did he just have a baby? What? Where did it come out from? Oh, goodness. It's a C-section. Good, alright. Thought it came out of his butt. Thought it was a butt baby. Welcome one and all aboard the Hype Train. I'm your host, Makai Vega, and today's episode of the Hype Train, we are focusing on the mysterious Death Stranding. From the crazy sadistic mind of a one Hideo Kojima, viewers really have no idea what to put to say what this game is about. Like I'm filling out a survey. Death Stranding, what is about? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. But the last three trailers that Kojima Productions has dropped on this game has got fans wondering. And it's got me full of angst. So come on this journey with me as we discuss what we know about Death Stranding and also discuss what theories we have as to what this game will be. So let's get started with this conceptual hype train. Now, while most of the populace seems to think they know nothing about this game, much like a certain Jon Snow, Hideo Kojima has actually released a buttload of information on what this game is actually going to be. So the basic info that we first got is that Death Stranding will be the debut game of Hideo Kojima Productions, which is basically made out of Metal Gear Solid team members that just escaped when Hideo Kojima was like, what? I can't do my thing? Nope, psych, I'm out, gone. And he hit the road not to come back no more, but instead he made Hideo Kojima Productions, and this will be their debut game. And it is also plain to see that based on the trailers, we know that this game is rounding up a killer cast of characters such as Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen, the James Bond villain guy. And we have a genre. Death Stranding is an action stealth game, or stealth action if you mofos out there are picky. And it's not exactly open world either. Hideo Kojima had this to say actually, let me read it for you. While not to say that it's open world, users who enjoy today's AAA games will be able to easily enjoy it. So what I'm expecting that to mean is that as far as the world is concerned, the game will be held more like the Uncharted series, where it's not exactly an open world, but the worlds that you do get to explore are vast as freak. Like you can go way like 6 miles that way, or you can go like 26 miles that way, but it seems like you will be contained in that story mode level. But that's fine by me, because I had lots of fun with Uncharted 4. Even though it was a linear storyline, you still got to explore whatever the freak you wanted, basically. Go find treasures and extra things and whatnot. But I'm guessing because of the genre of the game, it being a stealth action game, there's probably going to be a couple of horror elements in there. Knowing Hideo Kojima's twisted fanatical mind. Speaking of Silent Hill PT, there's probably going to be a big part of you that wants to explore, and probably a part of you that wants to just stay your butt right where you are. Because there's some invisible monsters out there. So that gives us a basic outline of this game. So we know that, and we know of Hideo Kojima's works of the past, like Metal Gear Solid and the Silent Hill PT demo, which I'm sure most of you played and sharded all over yourself. Was I the only one? I know I ain't the only one. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. But based off the trailers, there's likely going to be some sort of huge horror element with these demons and creatures that we have no idea what the freak they are, but they can somehow just wipe out massive amounts of life. And from what I hear, Hideo Kojima is very passionate about this game, and you can sort of see the joy come to his face when he sees his projects come to life, like when he revealed the first trailer for this. But speaking of those trailers, Norman Reedus has said that these trailers are only merely an aspect of what the entire story will be. Well, what have we seen out of these trailers? We've seen a male have a C-section to what otherwise would have been a butt baby. We've seen a post-apocalyptic world. We've seen an ocean completely dried up with all the animals still fresh and dead. We've seen invisible creatures, invisible babies, a guy get sucked up into the sky, a guy get basically melted into the ground, creepy dude with freaky powers, and a whole lot of Norman Reedus naked ass. I got nothing as to what this game's about. I don't know if anybody else does, but I think I quit. So Lindsay Wagner, one of the people working on this game, said that when Hideo Kojima pitched this game at the original pitch meeting, it took him 3 hours to fully explain what the freak this game was about. So I'm not expecting any of this to be simple whatsoever. This is probably going to be the most complicated, convoluted story you've ever seen. But here's what I got now off of GamesRadar.com. The plot involves Norman Reedus, who is the main character called Sam, who works for a corpse disposal team for a group called Bridges and the United Cities of America. So what his job is to do is to retrieve dead bodies. We can assume that that's what he's carrying in the gameplay trailer. But along the way, while they're doing their job, they are stalked by these invisible creatures with supremely oily hands for some reason. That's disgusting. You need to go to a shower. Take a shower, you dirty, oily mother. They are stalked by these invisible creatures who seem to mainly respond by sound. I'm gonna go with sound on this one with the way that Norman Reedus covers his mouth in the trailer. But yes, it seems like they are taking humans and abducting them, giving them a fate that's apparently worse than death. As you can see, the people that are getting abducted, they immediately try to shoot themselves before they are. I don't know, maybe they're like anally probing them up there or something. Remember when that was a thing? Or worse, making them have butt babies. Now before I get into talking about how this concept equates to the game as a whole, I'm going to talk about the other concepts that are also in this game. The first of those being a thing called timefall. Here's where it starts getting complicated. Apparently there's this thing called timefall, and it is essentially rain, but from a different planet. What the fuck? From a different planet. What the fuck? From a different planet. And this rain causes people to age insanely fast and essentially causing death by aging, which is why I'm guessing they wear these biohazard suits to prevent that from happening, unlike that poor sap there. But yes, this timefall is causing all the plants and animals to rapidly age and die. Another thing that's in the game is Hideo's conception of purgatory, or the death mechanic in this game that they use. Apparently he's a big fan of those old style arcade games where whenever you die you get that old school continue screen and the countdown slowly starts to 10, 9, 8, 7 until, you put another quarter in, or you just wait till it hits 0 because you're poor and can afford more tokens. Mom? Now this is just a concept that he tried to explain, but from what I understand, it's a mechanic that they're trying to implement into the game, whereas when you die, it's a part of the story, and instead of responding before the point of death, you respond after it. So for example, if you get blown up into a giant crater, when you respawn, the crater will still be there. Now in between, there will be a point of limbo when you're dwindling along the lines of life and death. And so-called death takes you into the purgatory state, which you enter in first person. Interesting concept there, but once again, I'll give my opinions at the end. Now the next thing I want to talk about is this freaking baby. Now obviously this righteous thumbs up given baby is a huge plot point in this game. I'm guessing it's one of the main story arcs of this game. We'll call him BB, that's short for butt baby. So BB. So Norman Reedus, aka Sam, in one of the first few trailers is cuddling a baby that we assume that he just had, and he's really playing up that just had a baby mom face there. But anywho, I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume that it's the same baby that they put in a jar full of some marmalade or whatever the freak that is, and the other guy has and is assumedly delivering that baby to another place. So I'm willing to bet that baby's gonna get passed around like hotcakes. Okay. Now this is the part where I get to talk about all the concepts that I just explained. So what that leads me to assume is that there's definitely otherworldly stuff happening here. Either this game takes place on a distant planet, or this planet has gotten invaded itself by big, scary, invisible aliens. And this is where we start reaching into the deep, dirty mind that is Hideo Kojima, but it hasn't reached that point of too complicated yet. I understand what's really happening here. It's sort of an apocalyptic world where, because of this aging rain, the timefall, most of the plants and natural life has died out because they've just aged so rapidly that they age to death. First off, I have to say that all these things are definitely going to play a part in the game's mechanics. So in actual gameplay, you will have to deal with timefall, you will have to deal with the purgatory, and you will have to deal with the butt baby. But as far as a timefall mechanic and the baby mechanic, it's hard to really wrap around your brain what's that really going to be like in the actual game? Is Timefall just going to be an area of the game where you can't go because you'll age and die? Or is it going to be a thing where if you break your hazmat suit by getting attacked or something like that, you will immediately age and die? I don't want to age and die. I need to know how to not age and die. Anywho, they could take it a whole number of ways. I'm curious to see how they'll do that in the final product of the game. But also with the baby, as I'm thinking about it, I can kind of see the baby will almost act as supremely precious cargo in the game. The baby's life will be just as precious, if not more, than your own. So maybe these horrible creatures will be targeting the baby and not Norman Reedus himself. Maybe the aliens want the baby. Or maybe there's an evil human faction and maybe they want the baby. And maybe that's why it'll be a part of the game's mechanic. Maybe there's a way to put it down. Maybe there's a way to use it as a weapon. So to continue talking more about the game, where'd this hat come from? Oh, it's a different day of recording? Cool. But another explanation could be that perhaps these aliens somehow impregnated Norman Reedus. Maybe they came and put a butt baby inside of him with their weird tentacles or invisible tentacles or monkey feet or like whatever these aliens have. And maybe it's not just a regular baby. Maybe it's a super baby. And that's why everyone is fighting over this baby so much, because it is a super duper alien hybrid Norman Reedus butt baby with super duper powers. And it is the key to something. And maybe I was on to something with this whole butt baby theory. Maybe these aliens really are abducting people and implanting butt babies inside them. And nobody wants to have a butt baby inside them because it's an extremely excruciating process. I'm guessing. But they got our boy Sam here, and they put a butt baby inside of him. But someone was smart enough to give him a C-section. So instead of dying and having an excruciating butt baby, he had it through his stomach. And therefore he was able to survive. And because it's the first ever alien human hybrid baby, it's got some supernatural, superhuman powers going on. And now everybody wants to crack down on this because this baby is the key to something. I don't know. Probably a door, probably not a door. And miraculously, somehow he survived because someone was smart enough to give him a C-section instead of letting the baby come out of his butt. I better stop talking about this butt baby thing and nobody's gonna take me seriously. But just saying, if there is any sort of merit to the theory that I'm talking about and these aliens really are impregnating men with the thoughts of having a baby out of them, the game probably isn't going to mention anything about the baby coming out of the butt, but where else is it going to come out of? Surely ain't coming out the other way. Anyway, in regards to the gameplay, Death Stranding is being widely considered a survival action game. And speaking of, many people are considering the idea that in this game you'll get some sort of supernatural abilities or powers, much like the aliens or like our boy Mads here. But in my personal opinion, based on what we've seen from this genre known as survival in the past and the past works of Hideo Kojima himself, I'm going to say a nod to that proposition, because what makes a survival game is the idea that you have almost no means of self-defense in a situation beyond your control. That's what really causes the tense, adrenaline-pumping nature that is survival. In Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain, for example, you were battling these crazy mythical beings, and yet you only had, human-made weapons like guns and hand grenades and whatnot. Solid Snake didn't have any sort of powers besides hiding in a box, which he doesn't even do anymore. And speaking of guns, I do not expect guns to be a very big thing in this game. Guns are obviously present by looks of the military and the convoys you see in this game, but I don't expect guns to be a huge mechanic. Why do I say this? Once again, thinking back to the idea of survival action. I do expect guns to be used in the game, but another thing I've noticed is that in all of these trailers, only for a few frames do we see Sam actually wielding a weapon. The rest of the gameplay they showed only featured him walking through miles of wasteland with no weapon and no enemies, or sneaking around between the aliens. So I think it might take a similar approach to Mirror's Edge 1, where you can pick up weapons, you can very much use them, but the main goal will be to survive and not to kill these beings or enemies. Expect more of a Last of Us style of gameplay, where you're sneaking around trying not to alert these aliens or whatnot, and occasionally taking one or two out from behind with a shiv to the neck. So yeah, but for a majority of this game, you're probably not getting jack diddly squat to defend yourself with. Thanks, Hideo. But anyway, I'm cracking down. This right here is my story theory so far. So the apocalypse has already happened. It's been going on for about tens of years or something like that. That's why they have all these institutions in place to pick up dead bodies or so. So people have been dealing with this apocalypse for a bunch of years. Whether it was caused by the aliens or some sort of nuclear attack, I don't know. Based on the setting and the broken building and broken world, it was based off a nuclear attack, but also based off the aliens' invasion. But regardless, for some reason right now, the aliens are a bigger threat than they were before. Why? Because I think they are trying to impregnate people because they've lost their own means of reproduction. Sort of like in the Aliens movie, where they would lay eggs inside human stomachs and the aliens would come out of the human stomach. This might be some sort of similar process where they're trying to use these humans as some sort of incubation system. And so they found that some reason it works best with men, or all the women are just gone. So they had no other alternative but to try to have, men babies, all Fairly Odd Parents style. But they have never actually succeeded, as there is nowhere for the baby to come out of, considering that men don't have a womb or any of the other, nonsense down there that produces children. So they've tried and tried again, but every time it does not work, whether the men explode from the inside out or the baby just dies inside of them. It's some sort of excruciating process, so we're gonna go with they explode from the inside out. But so they impregnated Norman Reedus, or Sam is his character's name, instead of being locked up with the aliens for experimentation, because the aliens somehow don't have any recognition of how the human body works. Norman Reedus somehow escapes whilst pregnant. And he goes through the thing, he has mood swings, he throws up in the morning and is like, "Where's my chocolate? You don't spend enough time with me. What about the baby?" Goes through all the things that pregnant people go through, right? But then some person, I'm guessing a doctor or nurse type, someone like that, goes, "Hey, it's looking like you're pregnant and probably this baby's gonna come out your butt. And it's probably not going to be nice." He's like, is there any other way to have this baby that's not out my butt? We could cut it out your stomach because, we have knowledge of how humans work. And if we cut it out your stomach, you'll both survive. And Norman Reedus is like, cool. So they had a C-section and the baby existed and survived. And so Norman Reedus also existed and survived. And he has a big C-section scar to prove it. But because he was impregnated by these aliens, which are supernatural, definitely have some sort of control of time and space, this baby also has some of that power. But when it combined with the humans it extended those powers a little bit, so the baby is more powerful. So that's why these aliens are sending their minions of justice to retrieve this baby, such as Mads Mikkelsen. And Norman Reedus is going to be like, "No, that's my baby. You can't take my baby." And so I'm guessing the majority of the game is going to be a big game of hot potato with old BB there. But that's just a theory. A game. I want to say it so bad. God. But also, that is my personal opinion. There has been no concrete information on this whatsoever, as far as like what the game is actually going to play like. No idea. No one has any idea except for the people that make them. They're keeping us in the dark because they're all buttholes. I'm kidding. We love you. No, we don't. Tell us what your game's about. Anywho, expect all that I mentioned before. Expect more than that. Expect the beautiful scenery that this game will no doubt have. And expect a whole lot of Norman Reedus booty hole. But anyway, that's all I have to report on this game. To give it a conceptual hype rating, Death Stranding gets an 8 out of 10 on the hype rating scale. And a lot of that is due to straight mystique and intrigue. They have presented just enough information to get me thinking, to get me wondering, to get me excited about the possibilities of this game. This game may be absolute trash, I don't know, but the hope and the ideas of what it can be is what's driving my hype right now. It's what's got my hype from 0 to 80. Because I gave it an 8, you see, because multiples of 10, I'm smart in math. Yeah, got it. Hope you got that. Anyway, theories are running amok in my mind, as I'm sure they're running amok in all of your minds. And whether or not you take my butt baby theories, seriously is completely up to you. One more note that I like to say is I'm kind of into the idea of them using like actual actors for video games now, for the mocap thing and whatnot, but I'm kind of weary of the idea of using their exact likeness like they're doing with Norman Reedus here. I feel like it might take out of the immersion of the game a little bit, considering that it looks exactly like Norman Reedus, and I myself am a big fan of Norman Reedus because I was a big fan of The Walking Dead back in the day when it was, you know, good. Shots fired! And so I know his face very well, so when I'm playing this game, I'm likely not going to be like, hey, I'm playing this game as this person named Sam, he's a survivor in this post-apocalyptic world. I'm going to be like, hey guys, look, I'm playing a freaking Norman Reedus right now. And it's probably going to be very hard to distinguish the actor from the game, so Hideo Kojima and the team are really going to have to do a good job of creating an immersive character in Sam. So like I said, I like the idea of using actors, but don't use their exact likeness. I hope that doesn't become a real big thing in the future, because that's one of those things that really separates video games from any other medium. But anywho, I can't wait to see what more they release on this game in the coming months. We haven't gotten any sort of release date or window for that matter. A lot of people last year were saying that we would get the game by this summer, this year. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, but we haven't even gotten any sort of release window yet, so that's not happening. So expect some sort of release date trailer by E3 of this year, and if not, expect the game late 2020 or early 2021. So we've got a minute. Do you agree with my hype score? Do you not agree with my hype score? So let me know in the comment section down below, along with what you think of my theory and along with any other theories that you might have. And while you're down there, I want you to pop up, take a look at that like button, and I want you to oil your hands real nice to make it that nice black fudge look. I want you to touch it and leave a little handprint on that like button, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And remember, you too can board the hype train today by hitting that subscribe button and following us as we follow all things hype from now to the future. Next time on the hype train. Oh my god, boobies! Dead or Alive 6. Now, I know this game is being released March 1st, which isn't too long from now, so expect the next hype train in less than a week. But anywho, I would like to thank you all very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this episode of the hype train and want to see us succeed in the future, consider donating to our Patreon account. It would help me out quite a lot, because I'm broke and need money from you lovely people, specifically you, yes you, Tom, Sharon, Monica, Quantron, Wonton, Tavius, I see you too. But until next time, hype train, baby. Woo, woo!